But let's bring in now Bridget McKenzie from the National. Senator McKenzie, great to see you as always. Let's get your take on, was this, this is obviously a loss for the Libs last night, but there was a swing towards the Liberal Party. So how did you read it? What's your take out?
Yeah, I think your analysis, both James and Rita, very, very on point. I spent a bit of time in Dunkley. It is a unique seat, but it really is that aspirational, low to middle income community that just wants to get ahead, loves its country, loves its family, and they work really hard. And Albanese isn't actually delivering for them on a raft of fronts, and I think they need to understand more and more that that is the actual fact. But it was a really strong result yesterday for Peter Dutton and Nathan Conroy, I thought. If you think about within 2 years, we've basically flipped nearly 10% if you compare it to the Aston by-election. And that is because the trend of the Australian voters in these types of seats is that they don't see the Labor Party as being on their side, whether it's inflation, cost of living, energy policy, or indeed, the big new car tax that's coming their way.
Yeah.
So I think it was a really positive, taking it from a safe Labor seat and within 18 months making it a marginal seat is quite historic. The average swing for a first-term government is 1.7%. So we're really pleased with the result, and it's a great foundation to head into the general election next year.
Bridget, tell us, though, does the Liberal Party, you talk about this as an aspirational seat, but the Labor government under Albanese has really attacked small business aspiration through regulation, through IR law changes, all of these sorts of things, a tax code that punishes the accumulation of capital and wealth. Does the coalition need to do more to not just rely on discontent, but also to become, again, much more explicitly the coalition, the party of aspiration, and making that, a really positive thing that people can get behind and want to get on board with?
Yeah, James, I think you're dead right. I think what you've seen under Peter Dutton and David Littleproud in terms of the leadership of the coalition is a back-to-basics approach. And I think that's working. Australians are doing it tough, and they need to see, have the government's failures obviously exposed, which is part of our job. But the other part of our job is to have some really practical, tangible ways that we're going to assist with that. And getting back to basics, I think, as a centre-right political movement is our first step. And so we've been making those sorts of decisions. You've seen us come out on the family car tax very, very strongly, and a raft of other measures on calling out Labor's failure to get their spending under control and the flow and impact that has on keeping inflation high and therefore interest rates. But we need to have that conversation louder, more strongly, more consistently, and at a grassroots level in communities around the country.
Rita.
I wonder, Bridget, if there should have been more made about the cultural issues during this election. You had a candidate there from Labor who essentially called the majority of her electorate as suffering from the worst example
of just incredible
white privilege. 56% voted no in the referendum, and she said to her that was a worst example of white privilege, and she railed against that. Now, I didn't hear much from the Liberals. It was something like you don't want to veer into that direction. But I think people care about these cultural issues. These are substantive issues. They're not things, I don't know, sometimes I feel like the Liberals treat them like trivial afterthoughts, not worthy of a debate.
Point, Bridget.
No. Yeah, no, they define. I think the cultural issues actually define our societies, and the Dunkley community were very, very significantly no. And I mentioned at every interview I did about Dunkley, about the white privilege comment, because let's think about this community being represented by a very popular community member in Peter Murphy who, died in tragic circumstances. They now have a local MP who thinks they're all elitists. Now, let's get that local MP meeting as many of her constituents as possible over the next 18 months so they can actually see that she's no Peter Murphy and in fact has Bridget, a level of derision
Yep, I'm going to jump in there, Bridget.
A level of derision to her community.
No, she's an extremely charismatic individual, and I want to play you a clip which shows her personality, her charisma, the impact, the dynamic impact she is going to have on the Australian Parliament, and watch even Albo shudder in the corner as she's speaking. Take it away, new member for Dunkley.
Rowan.
Peta was a strong, wise and confident woman that represented our community. She delivered for Dunkley, and I ask the people of Dunkley to vote for me because I too will deliver for Dunkley. I will be a strong, local, confident representative for the people of this great community.
Little shudder there from Albo. You know, I'm not sure she's exactly going to set the place on fire. Maybe I'm being unfair, Bridget. But tell us what you think, seriously, what you think that she will bring to the Parliament that, you know, Albo and the Labor Party can go, thank God we got her over the line.
Well, I've been focused on Nathan Conroy, and what I think the people of Dunkley wanted was their Frankster Baxter rail upgrade, for instance. That's the type of thing they want delivered. The Labor Party really didn't put on the table any great promises in this campaign to be delivered. In fact, they've restricted funding to the 2 local councils within Dunkley. They haven't had a major project being funded in the last 2 years. So she's got a big hill to climb if she's going to actually deliver for Dunkley before the next federal election. And I think Albo and his incompetent ministry will be not helping her fulfil that promise she just made on that clip.